everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Today I'm going to be talking about 7 standalone books that I cannot wait to read when my TBR is 0. As of filming today, I'm not sure when I'm going to post this video. It depends whether I like this one or the one that I'm going to film after this better. But as of filming today, I have 2 full books left on my physical TBR and 2 that I'm in the middle of, so only 4. It's absolutely crazy, I can't believe it. And the one that I'm listening to on audiobook I'm probably going to smash through in the next couple of days because it's tiny and I'm listening 1.4 speed. So I'm really excited to talk about some books that are going to be coming up in my reading, in my wrap up, in these videos. And if there's any that interest you that you would potentially like to do a buddy read with, please let me know in the comments down below or send me a message on IG. I've got the my link will be down in the description box below on how to contact me, but I would love to do a buddy read with someone because I haven't done one in forever nearly. As I've never read any of these books before, I'm just going to be mainly reading the blurbs of them and then telling you guys what it is that interests me about them. I'll insert a cover image as well. The first book I can't wait to read is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. The unicorn lived in a lilac wood and she lived all alone. So she ventured out from the safety of the enchanted forest on a quest for others of her kind. Joined along the way by the bumbling magician Schmedrick and the indomitable Molly Grew, the unicorn learns all about the joys and sorrows of life and love before meeting her destiny in the castle of a despondent monarch and confronting the creature that would drive her kind to extinction. So I really think that The Last Unicorn, the title itself was something, and the picture of the cover as well is what really drew me to it. I've never actually, to be honest, read the description before today because it was just something about being the last unicorn that I felt interesting enough to want to pick this book up and read it. Geisha of Gaon by Mineko Iwasaki. Emerging from her hiding place, Mineko encounters Madame Omiya, the formidable prophetess of a prolific geisha house in Gaon. Madame Omiya is mesmerized by the child's black hair and black eyes. She has found her successor, and so Mineko is gently but firmly prized away from her parents to embark on an extraordinary profession of which she will become the best. But even if you are exquisitely beautiful and the darling of the Okiya, the life of a geisha is one of grueling professional demands, and Mineko must first contend with her bitterly jealous sister who is determined to sabotage her success. Captivating and poignant, Geisha of Gaon tells Mineko's ascendancy to fame and her ultimate decision to leave the profession she found so constricting. After centuries of mystery, Mineko is the only geisha to speak out. This is the true story she has long wanted to tell and the one that the West has long wanted to hear. I believe this is the book that is the actual true story of the geisha's life that Arthur Golden based his novel on. The, what's it called? Popular Memoirs of a Geisha. I actually do own that and I loved the movie. And it's one of those things where I didn't really realise when I first read the book and watched the movie that I didn't really understand that he interviewed her and then basically just went totally against her wishes and what they'd agreed on. So this is supposed to be her true story and telling it in her own words, and I'm really looking forward to reading the true account of it and not the one that some white guy just stole. The Brutal Truth by Lee Winter. Australian crime reporter Maddie Gray is out of her depth in New York, miserable and secretly drawn to her powerful, twice-married media mogul boss, Elena Bartel, who eats failing newspapers for breakfast. That's not when I was reading that, I was taking that literally, but just the saying who eats something for breakfast means that they completely demolish them. As work takes them to Australia, Maddie is goaded into a brief, seemingly harmless bet with her enigmatic boss where they have to tell the complete truth to each other. It backfires catastrophically. A lesbian romance about the lies we tell ourselves. So I first saw this one on Capricious Helen's channel, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description below because it's a really great one. I am trying to read a bit more widely, and especially with finally getting my TBR down very, very soon, I'll be able to do that because I won't be constricted by something. So definitely reading a romance that is not just to heterosexual people is something that I really want to read more of. But I also really like this because it's supposed to be similar of the movie The Devil Wears Prada that Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep star in, and I really love that movie. You would never want to be in that workplace, and frankly, if that workplace was in Australia and the people decided to pursue it, it would be up for workplace harassment. But it's a really pretty anesthetic movie and I really like it, and the message in the end is really good and that kind of thing. But it's supposed to be kind of like that, as if Anne Hathaway was having a relationship with Meryl Streep. So I'm really curious to read this one, and that description that Helen gave it, and I'm sure a lot of other people have given it, really just made me want to read it, and it's something that stuck with me for many, many years. Because what I actually do with my virtual TBR, the endless wish list that we all have when we put things together that we want to read but we don't own yet, I do go through that one sort of semi-regularly, and if I don't remember what the book is about just based on the cover, and if I'm not drawn to it, things like that, then I get rid of it. So this is one that has stayed on my to be read, my virtual to be read pile for a very, very long time, or my virtual TBR list. By the way, what do people call them? Are they your virtual TBR list? Like, what do you call that list of unowned books that you really want to read one day? Like, what? I don't even know the terminology anymore. Or is it just like a TBR? I'm not sure. My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. The year 2000. Bright, ambitious, and yearning for adulthood, 15-year-old Vanessa Y becomes entangled in an affair with Jacob Strain, her magnetic and guileful 42-year-old English teacher. The year 2017. Amid the rising wave of allegations against powerful men, a reckoning is coming due. Strain, the English teacher, has been accused of sexual abuse by a former student who reaches out to Vanessa, and now Vanessa suddenly finds herself facing an impossible choice. Remain silent, firm in the belief that her teenage self willingly engaged in this relationship, or redefine herself and the events of her past. But how can Vanessa reject her first love, the man who fundamentally transformed her and has been a persistent presence in her life? Is it possible that the man she loved as a teenager and who professed to worship only her may be far different from what she has always believed? I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this because it's something that was read recently and very widely by lots of people on BookTube. It's a hard-hitting contemporary where this woman, Vanessa, is having to think about her relationship with her teacher, where originally she'd thought that I'm in control, I choose this, I like that this is happening. And then she's thinking about it years later going, oh, but hang on, maybe I actually was taken advantage of. So I'm really curious to read this. I often would say in the past that I don't like contemporaries, but it's more that the idea and the contemporaries that I thought of in the past were sort of like teen romances, kind of like, I guess, Anna and the French Kiss. So I don't really necessarily want to judge that one, or To All the Boys Who'd Loved Before. And again, like, no judgment on people that really enjoyed them. They just didn't really feel like my cup of tea because I didn't want to read about teen romances. Things like say the Netflix movie as well, The Kissing Booth. I love it as a movie, but I didn't really want to read them. Like, I like watching that kind of stuff, but I don't want to read it. That's what I thought contemporaries was. No more explanation needed. I know, perceptions, change as we grow older and learn. And I'm really excited to actually explore contemporaries that are hard-hitting, that I don't know what else to kind of describe them in that way. I've just heard Murphy Napier call them that, but sort of just ones that are not fluffy, that are about like the dark, gritty parts of humanity. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I'm also going to try and explore a few more classics in an attempt to find what classics I enjoy, because again, I thought classics were just like Jane Austen novels or like Jane Eyre, and I've read some of those and they're okay, but they're not super engaging. So I'm kind of hoping to read things like Jurassic Parks and Jaws. I'm really keen to read, so if anyone wants to do a read through of Jaws, like, I really want to do that as well. I want to kind of pick some other classics that to see whether I actually do enjoy classics. I just maybe don't really like the Victorian era kind of ones. I'm not going to assume that everybody's watching my channel knows what Jurassic Park is. It is a very famous movie series, so I'm going to give you the blurb. An astonishing technique for recovering and cloning dinosaur DNA has been discovered. Now humankind's most thrilling fantasies have come true. Creatures extinct from eons roam Jurassic Park with their awesome presence and profound mystery, and all the world can visit them for a price. Theme park vibes. Until something goes wrong. Dun dun dun. So I'm excited as well. I think it should be fun. The Troop by Nick Cutter. Once every year, Scoutmaster Tim Riggs leads a troop of boys into the Canadian wilderness for a weekend camping trip, a tradition as comforting and reliable as a good ghost story around a roaring bonfire. But when an unexpected intruder stumbles upon their campsite, shockingly thin, disturbingly pale, and ferociously hungry, Tim and the boys are exposed to something far more frightening than any tale of terror. The human carrier of a bioengineered nightmare, a horror that spreads faster than fear, a harrowing struggle for survival with no escape from the elements, the infected, or one another. Part Lord of the Flies, part 28 Days Later, and all-consuming, this tightly written edge-of-your-seat thriller takes you deep into the heart of darkness where fear feeds on sanity and terror hungers for more. So I don't really think that I'm necessarily a horror reader, but I find medicine and medical stuff really interesting. I find zombies bloody scary. I don't like watching horror things, but the idea of how zombies come about, if it's like a biological sort of thing, is fascinating to me. And like if it's some kind of medical induced thing, is really interesting. And I am gonna dip my toes in with The Troop because I find the cover and it just draws me in, and so I'm you know, you're probably learning in this video that I'm rediscovering my taste as a reader, as an adult, now that I'm free of constricted, and who knows, in a year's time or a couple of years, I may be this completely different person that is not what you signed up for. Hopefully you still enjoy my content, but it's just something that I'm really enjoying, being able to explore everything, because I'm literally just doing what reading should be about, hearing a book that sounds interesting and picking it up. And these books all sound interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna like traditional horror books, but this one just fascinates me. I don't know if I'd want to watch it as a movie because it seems really scary, but as a book I think I might be able to handle it better. The final book that I'm going to be talking about is probably going to be one of the first books I ever buy, because as soon as I heard it being talked about on one of my favourite booktubers channels, and that is Rosie Cockshut, I'll leave a link for her channel down below, go check her out. As soon as I heard Rosie talking about it, I wanted to read it too. I'm so excited for this book, and that is The Mercies by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Now I'm sure Rosie is going to be pleased because she always wants everybody to read it, and trust me, you have done your job. I am so looking forward to reading this book. Finnmark, Norway, 1617. 20-year-old Marin Mangendaster stands on the craggy coast watching the sea break into a sudden and reckless storm. 40 fishermen, including her brother and father, are drowned and left broken on the rocks below. With the menfolk wiped out, the women of the tiny Arctic town of Vard must fend for themselves. 3 years later, a stranger arrives on their shore. Absalon Cornet comes from Scotland, where he burned witches in the Northern Isles. He brings with him his young Norwegian wife, Ursa, who is both heady with her husband's authority and terrified by it. In Vard and in Maren, Ursa sees something she has never seen before: independent woman. But Absalon sees only a place untouched by God and flooded with a mighty evil. As Maren and Ursa are drawn to one another in ways that surprise them both, the island begins to close in on them, with Absalon's iron rule threatening Vard's very existence. Inspired by the real events of the Vard storm and the 1621 witch trials, The Mercies is a story of love, evil, and obsession set at the edge of civilization. I'm so excited to read this one as well. I'm so excited. So that's all the books that I wanted to talk about, all the standalones that I'm really excited to read. Please let me know if anybody wants to buddy read these. If you've read them, let me know, hype me up, get me excited. If you didn't really enjoy them, still feel free to let me know. I love all the discussions. Thank you so much for watching my content, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!